Masechta Menochos, Daf Zayin Amud Beis. We're doing Ches Amud Aleph today. Zayin Amud Beis. Umi Amud Abelazar, 3 lines from the bottom. Well, yesterday we learned that we learn out Mincha, that you ain't Mincha L'Chatzayin, meaning that that when it comes to the shear of the Mincha that you put into the Keli, you cannot put in a mincha lachatzoyin. Just like we learn it out from dam. Just like dam, you have to have enough blood in the vessel to be able to spray all the hazoyis, all the 7 hazoyis. Sure. So too, by your cup mincha, which we learn out from dam, you cannot do half the shear in one keli and the other half in another keli. Says the Gemara, we're going to start from Umi Amar Rabbi Elazar. In fact, the Gemara, Umi Amar Rabbi Elazar Hachi. Did then Rabbi Elazar say that we learn out from Dam that by a mincha it cannot be half the share of the mincha in one keli?
How can you say that? Dam cannot be, right? Is that what
We learn out from Dam. Just like by Dam, you cannot put half the share of the hazois in the kli. You need enough Dam to have all the hazois. Hazois means all the sprays, the 7 sprays, or the 7 plus if it was inside, another 4 around the corners of the mizbeach. But you had to have the whole shear in the kli. You couldn't have half. The same thing as by mincha. When you start, so too by the mincha, you cannot have half. In fact, that we learn out that when you don't have that you must have the full shear in one kli, and we learn it out from Dam. We learned chaviti koyin gadol that the chavitin that was the mincha that they brought half in the morning, a half is in the morning, a half in the afternoon.
So we see that you can split it.
Oh, 1 second. Rabbi Yochanan says you can't. If you divided the soilus and you put half in one klisharis for the morning carbon, mincha, and then you'd put the chetzia, you put another half in another klisharis, then it's not going to become a kuddush. It had to be a whole isarein. And when you were ready to be makriv in the morning, you took out half and you did the hakrava.
Procedure that you give only half.
The hakrava is half,
yeah.
but before the hakrava, it all has to be in one keli, the full isarin. You cannot have. Here he put a half isarin in one keli, another half, one for the morning, one for the. So Rabbi Yochanan said that's no good. You have to have the whole isarin in one kli. Rabbi Elazar argues. He says since you're sacrificing it anyway as half in the morning, half at night. So he said, Kadesh l'chatzayin. Therefore, you can be mekadesh l'chatzayin. In fact, you want to be misa. According to Rabbi Elazar, that we know everybody agrees that the dam by the zvachim by a carbon cannot be l'chatzayin. You have to have the full amount in the kli. So leila from dam. Let us learn out from dam that by chavitin cannot be l'chatzayin. You cannot have it in two kli sharis. The whole Yisrael has to be in one klisharis. Take out half and be makiv. Says the Gemara.
In other words, you want to be makiv half, but bringing it, you have to bring it
in as a holy Yisrael, right?
So how do you learn that from dam? Dam is
Dam has
keli, and what you have to spritz is the whole your whole procedure.
You do 7 spritzing, and then you took that was on the floor. They had 1, 2, 3, 4.
By my hakrava.
What?
The hakrava's hadam isn't in total. Whatever you have to do, the 7 times. That's
No,
what you have to do.
so therefore.
But here the chavitim, you know.
Okay, so you want to be mechalik. Well, that's what you want to try to be mechalik. So we'll soon see. So as he says, Leila ben Dam, the Chedef, Rabbi Elazar also holds by Dam has to be 1 share. So why does he allow that you could do lachatzayin? Chitem Rabbi Elazar, milsim and milsalegama. If you're going to say Rabbi Elazar doesn't learn out one case from another case, meaning the case of mincha from zvach, he's not going to learn out. Says we know Rabbi Elazar does learn out one thing from another. What do we see? A mincha that he did the kmitza inside. It's the kmitza is supposed to be done in the Azara. Pesach Kegen facing the entrance of the Heichal. So that's where you're supposed to do it. So he says it's kosher even though you went in the Heichal and did the kmitza. Why? Because we find by the Shulchan that the bezichen that they took out, they took off the shulchan. That's like the kmitza of the mincha. because the bezichen that they took off the shulchan made it mutter for the lechem to be eaten. Of course, he had to burn it on the mizbeach. Here also, the kmitza is the part that makes the leftover of the flour to be eaten. So we learn just like by bezich, which is just like a kmitza was able to be done inside. So therefore, if you did the kmitza of the mincha inside, it's going to be fine. So you see, you learn one from the other. You learn mincha from the bezichin by the shulchan. Says the Gemara, mincha yalaf, mincha medam yalaf. If it's two minchas, we can learn out one mincha from the other. That's considered as a mincha. The lechma panim and the bezichin, same family. Flour to eat the bread. But mincha from dam, that's mincha from a behema, the dam of behema, that you don't learn out. You can't learn out from the svachim. So you want to mincha mi yalif. Does Rabbi Lezer learn out one mincha from another? But Tanya, we learned in the Braisa that what does it say over there? That actually pirka nifres lachma. If before taking out the lechem was already missing. It wasn't enough lechem. It broke, and once it breaks, pieces fall, breklins it. So it's not the full lechamim. You have to have full breads. You have to have a full share of the breads in order to be by the lechem apanim. And if it's missing a little bit of the bread,
how did it break?
It broke. Maybe it was hard, and it broke. He moved it.
It was on the table.
It was on the table. It was shook. Or
And he wanted to take it off, and it broke.
It says even before taking it off, it broke.
So what are you supposed to do?
So then it's look what he says. Alechem possible. The lechem becomes puzzle because it's not enough lechem. It's not the full share, and the bazich and the potatoes is worthless. You can't go and burn it.
You can't bring the replacement because you have to replace it.
Yes,
with
bread, yeah. But Misha Perka, let's say it wasn't before he took it out that it was missing. The whole bread was there. Then on his way, when he took off the breads, it broke. So now it became missing. So it says the Gemara, okay, alechem pasul, the lechem is pasul, but umakta alav is a bezichin. But the bezichin, the potatoes you could because you took it off when the whole lechem was there. Now later on it became missing. Okay, that lechem you can't eat, but the bezichin is good.
So what did the Kohanim do?
What
do they do? They have no bread?
Don't worry, they managed from so many other places they got food from the other matanes, the mices, the trumas mices. Rabbi Lezer said there was in the heichal a question if it's not there, but you don't have to eat fish in the heichal. Yeah, maybe gefilte fish that. Rabbi Lezer had said in the B of the Braisa, when the Braisa says that if the lechem broke after him taking it out, then the Leveni could be makiv. Loy pik and mamish doesn't mean that he actually took it out and then it became missing. The moment that it came into the 7th hour of the day, you have to chatzos. That's the zman that you have to already be makted the bazichin, and you have to take off the breads. So even though he didn't take off the breads, it's as if he took it off. So when he was taking it off, so at that time he took off the bazichin, right? Even though he didn't take off the breads yet. So it's considered as if he took off the breads, and then when he took off the breads, it became missing. So the bezichin you can be makter, he says, Ebelaza.
So okay. It's like nothing happened then, right?
What do you mean, like nothing happened? I don't understand what's your question.
That's why it is. How else do you do? You take off the bezichin, and then you take off the breads.
Yeah, but he says even though the bread wasn't right now he's talking about the zan. Usually you take off the breads, but you have to actually take off the breads, right?
Yeah.
So he says no. It's as if it was taken off, even though he didn't actually take it off. So Rabbi Lezer says that if the bread became missing, okay, after the time till when the time arrived right away, it was full. Then after the time, it became missing from the bread. So he says he was not sure. He wasn't yet makter, but he could be makter. Because after the Zman came to be makter v'zichim, the breads were still full that moment. Then later on it broke. So we say he could still go ahead and burn the bezichim. Bezich meaning the keteris and the spoons. Says the Gemara, why should he be able to? It should be considered as a mincha which is missing before the kmitza. Yeah, it was already. So he says the siluk of Lazich Levaina, the Lechem Aponim is like the Kmitza, the removing. He didn't yet remove the Mazichin, right? So it should be like before he did the Kmitza, or even if he moved it but he didn't burn it, it should be like the Kmitza. A mincha that's missing before the Kmitza is possible to do the Kmitza. And if he did, the Kmitza is possible. So L'chayr we should say here, by the Mazichin, before he took off the Mazichin, it was missing, even though the time arrived. And we say it's as if he could have done it, but b'pelmamish we say it's koydem kmitza. It should be possible, just like by koydem kmitza it's possible.
We had actually a question already. We do the ma'isa already right from the beginning that you could do the ma'isa already.
We're talking about that he didn't do a ma'isa yet. So if he didn't do a ma'isa, just like by the kmitza, he didn't do the ma'isa kmitza, and it became missing. You can't do the kmitza. The kmitza is possible. So too, the bezichin should be possible. Says you want to know halak kasher. There's a major difference. Mincha like brir comes the day. By mincha, you don't know which is the kmitza yet till he has to do a ma'isa to do the kmitza. So since he has to do a ma'isa to the kmitza and he didn't do it, that's why it's possible. But brir comes the day. But by the bezichin, he doesn't have to do a ma'isa for the kmitza. The spoons of the potatoes that are there, that's the kmitza. It's like the kmitza was done already.
He just has to bring it.
He just has to bring it to burn it. He just has to burn it.
So therefore...
So given the shigi is manalafarik, since once the time arrived to bring the bezichin, kimanafarik adamya. It's as if it's as if he took out his bezichin already. It's as if he did the kmitza already. It's as if he did the kmitza.
The challahs are eatable.
Eatable, but since the challah was missing, you can't eat the challah, but the bezichin is fine.
Okay.
The kmitza is fine. You were saying he didn't do an actual kmitza. He's saying it's as if...
waiting for the ma'isa. You don't have to do the ma'isa.
Here you don't have to do the ma'isa. It's as if he did the ma'isa.
Because
it's ready to go. Go. Elamayat affecting only now to have a kishirayim. Shechas ben kmitza laktar affecting okay, I hear you. You answered. It's as if you already did the ma'isa of kmitza by the bezichin. Says Gemara, let's say somebody did a kmitza by regular mincha, and the shirayim is missing. Could you be makted the kmitza? Says no. So here also.
We learned that before, right?
It's only according to one day. So he says to Havi shechas ben kmitza laktara. When somebody actually did a kmitza and there was missing from the leftover from the shrine the shear of the mincha, we say the kmitza he cannot follow and do it further because they maktin kemtzalin. He can't be makted the kaimitz. Okay?
Because there's no shirayim left over.
Because there's not enough of a shear when he has to actually burn the kmitza. It's missing from the shear. It has to be a yisarin, right? Let's say a kmitza from a yisarin of flour.
Yeah.
Or kmitza from a half of a yisarin, okay? But there was less than a half a yisarin.
Oh, the chatchila wasn't?
No, the chatchila was half a yisarin. He made the
full
kmitza,
share.
the full share. Then he made a kmitza and then it became less.
Then he see that he doesn't have the...
He doesn't have the full share, so we don't allow.
Wasn't there.
Wasn't it? So now he can't burn the kmitza. So he says that by the bezichin also. We should say, yeah, he did the kmitza, but it's missing the share in the lechem. Because it crumbled and you're missing crumbs, so he shouldn't be able to burn. Okay, says you got a lap looked in. Isn't this a machlekes? It's a machlekes if he already did the kmitza and then he found, and now he sees it's missing, whether he could be makter or not. Rabbi Lazar, Savala Kimandama, Rabbi Lazar will hold like the other mandama that says Shirayim Shechas Ben Kmitza Laktara, Shirayim that's missing between if he did the kmitza and the burning and now it's missing. Maktam Kohen Talay, you still could be burned the kmitza on the fire. So perfect. Rabbi Yechon holds like that. I'm sorry, Rabbi Lazar holds like that mandama. Now we're going to learn another Indian. You're going to have a whole bunch of gufas. This is probably one of the only a whole bunch of little sugyas. And it says the word gufa, we previously learned, you're going to see, and he learns a little sugya, and then he goes to a new one.
So what is he teaching, something new?
Here?
You said we learned it already.
Gufa, yeah, but he's going to tell you a chiddush in what we learned before. Gufa we had previously learned, chavit kohen gadol, those chavit of the kohen gadol, Rabbi Yechanan Amma, Eina kiddush lachatzayin. You cannot divide it, half, one kli shadas and half in another kli shadas. Rabbi Lazar, since you are sacrificing it half in the morning, half in the afternoon, Kadesh l'chatzon, you can put a half. You can set it up that way. Half you start in one keli for the morning.
Yeah, that's really one for one instead of half and half.
Because he sees
It's still separate things.
It's separate kakravis, right?
we're not
That's what
separating
we
the
do.
whole thing.
You don't have to have a fully certain and then can't take out half and put it in. Okay. So what's the reason Rabbi Yochanan that says you cannot do it in half? I mean, they want to do it. It says in the pasuk, mincha machatzisa, machatzisa, a half of it. He's saying a half of it. That means of what? Of the fully certain. So have mincha, bring a mincha, meaning bring the full mincha, and then take half of it and be back in the morning. In fact, the Gemara Kasha, they asked when the Brais Chavita got loy they didn't come in halves. 1 second. Says the Gemara, maybe son and Shalom. They brought a fully sudden, and then they would divide it in half. So it's a Kasha on Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer says minchas chavitin. You could do it half and half.
You could do, but
You could. It's a kasha on Rabbi Lezer. The Tanya, and he brings an additional brisa, proving that ilunem mincha machzis. If
He
the
said before that since you can be bringing
by chavit, yeah, so therefore you can be makadosh it half and
So
half.
what's the kasha here from the
Here you see, it has to be a machatzisa, has to be a whole.
Oh, yeah, no.
You have a pasuk and you have a brisa also that says it. Tanya, we learned the brisa ilunem mincha machatzis. It wouldn't say machatzisa half of it. It would say a mincha half, a half a mincha. Oh, perfect. You say maybe chatzis isarin mebeisei shachris umakiv and chatzis isarin mebeisei avis umakiv. He brings two separate shislach. One shisel with a half isarin he brings for the morning, and the other second shisel, second bowl, he brings with the other. Talmud Leima comes the pasuk and says no machatzisa half of it. Of the holy Yisrael Babeke you bring in the morning, and maximum shalom will make.
that's a special
brings
shear.
A
Or
full,
it's whatever comes
Yisrael.
out.
No, a shear is a Yisrael, and a half of Yisrael in the morning, and a half in the afternoon. So he says, but it has to come out of Machatzisa when you're giving the first Yisrael, has to come out half of the whole Yisrael.
You have to pour the hole and then take out
And
half.
take out half, correct.
What do you do with the other half? Where do you leave
You
it?
leave it for the afternoon, big
You
deal.
leave
It's
it at
gonna-
home?
Yeah.
At home, or you leave it wherever he has a place to leave it.
No, he didn't want to bring it because he's afraid there's a lot of bugs that are going to come in.
Oh, I don't know.
So
Okay.
he wanted to keep it in the house, in one of the storage places, and later on take it out.
Okay. So Blazer will answer like this: La mitzvah. Yeah, you're right. To begin with, as a mitzvah, you should have the holy son, but it's not me'akiv. You can have it in two bowls. In fact, you want later have me beikosel. Have given me beikosel something avashu. How can you say it's not ma'akiv? Ma'akiv means it doesn't hold back. That you only it's a mitzvah to do it. L'chatchila, but the you can have it in two shislach. No, it says the word chayk. Exactly like it says in the
Talking about
pasuk.
two shislach, are we talking about to bring a part of it?
Half and half, meaning that you could divide it in two shislach, one in the morning and one
Bring,
half.
bring half
Half and half, yeah. So he says over here that he's asking on Avashi, it says chukah on the machzisa, it has to be a holy son. So how could you have less answer that it's only a mitzvah? It means verbally in his house he has to bring it as a fully son.
What do you mean by
From,
basically?
from his house, he
Claim
needs the
from his
dose.
house?
Yeah.
Literally.
I don't know literally, but from somewhere from private, he does the whole Isarin, and he's Mekadosh the whole Isarin, and then when it comes to putting the Klisharis, he can even divide it half and half in two different Klisharis. The difference is, at that time, when he's bringing it from his house and he says it's Kadesh, it's only Kiddush Damin. He could always redeem it. Later on, once it goes into Kalim, there's no redeeming it. So he says over here, we said, what does it mean that he has to have it as a whole from in his house? When he makes it, has to be a fully sorry, and he's makdish it bit, and then when he actually has to put in a klisharis, he can put in half and half. In fact, did Rabbi Yochanan say that a minchas chavitin is not divided in half? Well, he cannot divide it in half. We learn Hifish Chatzin Isarin. Rabbi Yochanan said himself, if somebody only separated half of Isarin, and his mind is to add more and more. Rav says it's not Kaddish. You cannot have half, less than the share. You have to have a full Isarin to begin with. Rabbi Yochanan Kaddish, it's holy. Ve'im isa, and if it's right, what Rabbi Yochanan says that mincha chavitin doesn't that it's not miskadesh lachatzoyin leilav mechavitin. So we should learn out from chavitin for the other menachos that it shouldn't be miskadesh lachatzoyin. And here we learned befedish that by a regular mincha from chavitin that he says chavitin cannot be lachatzoyin. That's what he said. Ein minchas chavitin miskadesh lachatzoyin. And over here he says by a regular mincha he could do even a little bit at a time, and with the mind, having a mind that puts it, becomes holy. How could it become holy? You should learn out from minchas chavitin. Should it become holy? And if you can say Rabbi Yochanan doesn't learn out one case from another, Rabbi Yochanan says a case of a shlamim that was slaughtered, shchita, it was done in the heichal. Kshein still kosher. It's supposed to be batzafin in the azara. The chsiv was shchati paschal yomein. It says you should slaughter it, or the shlamim could be even on the dreimes, but it has to be by the open, facing the opening of the heichal. The door has to be open. So, and he says if he went into the heichal, it's still good. Why? He says if you're saying that by the entrance of the oil you can do the shchita, and it has to be facing the heichal, for sure in the heichal it's going to be good. Says the Gemara. So you see, you're learning out one from the other. You're learning out shchita of a shlamim that it could be done in the heichal from the dinim of heichal. Says the Gemara. So if so, we should learn out by a regular mincha that it shouldn't be good if he does a little bit at a time from minchas chavitin. Says the Gemara. No, by a regular mincha when he put in, when Rabbi Yochanan said it's going to become holy every little bit. There it's different. If he had a mind to keep on adding, it's as if the whole thing is there. It's as if he was mekadosh the whole shear. If his mind is to add and add, even though right now it's only a little bit at a time, but since his intentions were to fill it up, so it's as if the whole shear is there. It says the Tanya that we learned in the Braisa. It says the word melayim. It says what's the pasuk? Karas kesav achas, mizrak echad kes. It says shneim melayim. Say the b'lu b'shem lemincha. Melayim. What does melayim mean? Shleimim. Shleimim means that she'ina kadosh ache yisodin shalom. It's not going to be sanctified until it's a fully sudden. So what does he want to say? When do we say it won't become kadosh until the full shear is there? If he doesn't have the intention of filling it up to the full shear. But if at the time when he has the intention to fill it up to the full shear, even the first little bits he put in is already holy, because his mind is. It's like kol haroya lebila kibila dami. Here also, since his mind is to finish up the shear, it's as if the whole shear was there. It's like the Yivarav Rav, who's paskin that a mincha cannot be miskadesh lachatzoyim, by chavitin kemas v'delay. By chavitin, who does he hold like? That by minchas chavitin, does he hold like Rabbi Lazar that you can do lachatzoyin, or he holds like Rabbi Yochanan by chavitin you cannot do lachatzoyin? Says you want to eat Rabbi Lazar if he holds that minchas chavitin you can do lachatzoyin, leilav mechavitin. So let him learn out from chavitin that by a regular mincha also should be miskadesh lachatzoyin. Why did Rav say it's not? If you're going to say Rav is milsim and milsim le'yolav, he doesn't learn one case from the other. Says that's impossible. We know Rav does learn out one case from another. Mincha becomes sanctified even without the oil. Says where do we see that? We find by the lechem panim, water. The lechem was made with water, as straight, and it was so we can learn out from the lechem panim that soilus is good with levina itself. Levina was there because of the bezichim. But levina, how do we know without levina, if you put it in a kli, it becomes sanctified? We find by a minchas nesachim, by the eilus shlamim, it says you need a nesachim. You have to have a libation, and there it says that there was no levina by that nesachim.
No shaman and no levina.
No, now we're talking about beloy levina.
It says when we see about minchas
No, B'lei Shem is the next case. Because we find by a Minchas Nesachim that was brought with Oil Shlamim that it was brought only with Shemen and Soilis, no Levina. Says the Gemara B'lei Shemen and B'lei Levina. What about if there was only Soilis alone in the Keli? How do we know that's going to be good? Shakaim Matzin Minchas Chayta. Because by Minchas Chayta it says he cannot fancy it up with oil and spices. Only Soilis has to be. He can't make it fancy. Fancy Stefanski. So you see over here that it can only be Soilis alone. And so from there you see if you put in a klishar, just like by Minchas Chayta, once it's put in a klishar, it becomes sanctified. So too by heavy mincha, even if there are more ingredients and you separated the ingredients by putting it in a klishar, it's still going to become sanctified. So you see, Rav learns out one from the other. So you can't say that the Rav didn't learn. He's held by the he held like Rabbi Lazar that minchas chavitin is miskadesh l'chatzoyin, and by regular mincha not. So we just let him learn out from minchas chavitin that it is. So he said Rav doesn't learn out one case from another. For Gemara he does. Ella you have to say he holds Rav holds that by minchas chavitin. It cannot become miskadesh b'chatzayim. Gufa, new case, a new sugya. Gufa we had previously learned. Mincha kadesh v'lei shaman. Mincha can become sanctified even though there's no oil. Okay, shekei matzina b'lachma panim. By lachma panim, the bread was without oil and it was sanctified. B'lei levina, where do we see that mincha soilis with just shem without levina can become sanctified? Shekei matzina b'lachma. By the Nesachim that was brought with oil and Shlamim, that Nesachim did not have Levina. And it was sanctified. Below Yishem, below Levina, without oil and without spice. Where do we see just Silas itself could become sanctified? Shekem Matzinim of Minchas Chayta. A Minchas Chayta can only be brought with Silas, simple. It cannot be made fancy with Levina and Shemen. Uveshem Levina, Kache, Hai, Belay, Hai, Belay, Hai. He says the Shemen itself could become sanctified. The Levina itself can become sanctified. Where do we see that? Shemen. Where do we see Shemen alone can become sanctified? By the Mitzvah, it says that they put the blood on his ear, the Tnuchais and the thumb, and the grub and toe on the bottom. And they also put Shemen in the exact same places. But first they sprayed the Shemen by the Mizbeach. So you see the Shemen became sanctified in the Klisharis. Levina, Shekemetzinu, you see, the Levina was brought in the spoons, and it became sanctified just in the spoon itself. And now you have a person that argues with this whole thing. He says, no, you need all the ingredients to become holy. Right. If it requires all the ingredients, one on its own cannot become holy. Now, Chanina, that's Rav Chanina. You need all the ingredients in order to become holy. Well, Rabbi Chanina, in fact, according to Rabbi Chanina, that a kli that measures isarin was a special vessel that had measurements for the soilis, like you have in the matzah bakery. They put in the flour to know how much flour it should be, that they should make the mixture right, whatever. So he says, by the kli that was for isarin, it says, Lama nimshach. Why did you have to anoint it? You had to anoint a kli that it should be considered as a klisharis to sanctify the soilis, right? But if it's only soilis, and Rabbi Chanina says soilis alone cannot become kodesh, why should you have to be? Why should you have to be meishach the kli? Why should you have to anoint the kli? And the kemach cannot become kodesh without shaman. And for the Gemara, here it's talking about the tzirach minchas chayta. He did it for Minchas Chayta. Minchas Chayta said this is enough, and the Keli is going to be Makdish, Mekadesh. Veloik says the mother of Veloik is they had a special kli for liquid. So how do we? Why did they have to? Why did they have to be Meishachit? Why did they have to anoint it? The whole purpose of anointing it is that it should have the koyach to be Mekadesh, the liquid that comes in it. But the liquid alone is not enough to be Mekadesh. You have to have all the ingredients. So you shouldn't have to anoint such a kli. Because by the leg of Matzera, they had oil that they had to receive in the keli, the oil. And from the oil they sprayed. And after that, they put in the blood, the oil in the same place where they put the blood. On the Bain Yodei, Bain Raglav. Okay.
So it's the same keilah?
So they took from that keli, from the keli that they sprayed, it was sanctified, that oil, and they also put it on the Tnucha Eisen, on the thumb, and the Bain Raglav. Just like the blood, by Matzorah. So that keli, you had to anoint a keli which was only for liquid, because that keli has to be mekadesh, the oil.
But different people, no? Different cases.
A Matzorah, yeah, by Matzorah. Says you want to have Shmuel the Rav. Now he's saying another thing. Shmuel holds like Rav that the Seilis becomes miskadeshes even without the two other ingredients. Not like Rabbi Chanina. Shmuel will say like Rav that each one on its own does become sanctified. Where do we see that? It's not. We learned in the Mishnah by in Zvachim klei halach, the kelim that's made only for liquid, mekach and salach could only be mekadesh. That keli could be mekadesh, the liquid in it, or midas yavish, and a kli that's made to measure dry goods, mekach hayavish, will be mekadesh the yavish. But if you took a kli which is to measure liquid and you put it in soilus, it's not going to be mekadesh the soilus, because the kli is made only for liquid, so it can only be mekadesh liquid. Or a kli that's made to measure solids, and you put in liquid, but the liquid doesn't become holy, sanctified, because it's designated just to measure solids. Amar Shmuel, and Shmuel said, Leishanu ella midois. That's only if it's a kalim that are measuring kalim. Av mezak shaldam, but let's say the shissel that the kli shows that they will mekabel a dam in. Mekachis sayavish, it can be mekadesh even the dry. Everything, even yavish alone. That means seilus alone. Never, like it says in the pasuk, Shnei Meleim says Belul b'Shem and Mincha. It says Belul b'Shem and Mincha. So Rashi says even if it was seilus alone without being mixed with Shem, it would be Mekabel. Taisa says I don't see that. So Taisa says just like the kli is only for the dam, but it could be Mekabel seilus Belul b'Shem. So just like it's not being Mekabel dam, it could be Mekabel, and it's good. It could be good for seilus. It could be good for sales alone also. That's how Pesach learns. But the Gemara is asking anyway. The Gemara is asking, this mincha is a wet mincha. You don't see the solid is niskabel b'kli. Says the Gemara, that there's so much seilas. Not that you have flour. There's parts of the particles of flour that the oil didn't touch, and it was mekadesh even that flour, even the dried flour was miskadeshes. The Hainu Levain of Esau Kadai Kasav Shmuel Eimen Kedush Achei Kulun Yavish Shua Heich Mashkachas Alei Kulun Lachen Heimen Pnei Shashaman El Shma Milah Kasav Shmuel Hai Belay Hai. Okay, that's not negative. Let's go straight. Vibay Sema Mincha Legabe Dam. The Mincha Legabe Dam Ki Yavish Dam. It means that the keli is designated to be Makabel Dam. So we said, but it could also be mekabel mincha seilas belul b'shemen. Seilas belul b'shemen legabe dam is kiyavish. Okay, go for man for you. Let Amar Abelazar mincha shemchatz ba'hichal. A mincha that the kmitza was done instead of in the hazara pesach ha'hichal. He went inside the hichal and he made the kmitza. Shade, it's going to be kosher. Shekem asinu b'silik shnei v'zicha, because we find another type of kmitza. The bezichen is taking off the bezichen to be mated the lechma panim, which was in the heichal. That's considered as a kmitza. Must Rabbi Yirmiyah is the kasha. It says v'kametz misham. He says he should take a kmitza malay kumtze misham. What does misham mean? In makom sheraglei hazar aimless, from the place, the 11 ames where zar could stand. That's where the kmitza was taken from. Them say Raimam Menayim Shim kametz b'smol sheyazer. So, first of all, that was in the Mezach Shalatz of the Hazar. In the east of the Hazar, there was 11 feet with this Azar, a non-Kohen could stand. Okay, but if he did the Kmitza, instead of the right, he used his left hand. That he can go back, put it back, and then do another Kmitza with the right.
What if he's a lefty?
Doesn't matter. Talmud Levi becomes Misham. He does a Kmitza from them, and Makom Shekometz Kfar, from the place where he made the kvitza originally. So that means from there, since it says Makom Shekama, it's his mashma, he could do a second Kmitza in order to correct the first one. So 1 minute. So what do we see? The Tanakama holds the Kmitza is from the place where the Ragla Azar stood. So l'chayra, the Kmitza has to be done in the Azara, which contradicts that Rabbi Lezer says that the Kmitza can be even done in the Heichal. We have a pasuk that says v'kamitz misham has to be dafkin in the Azara, dafkin in the 11 Amis, where the Yisraelim were able to stand. No, he cannot. But the Kohen did it there. But so in the Azara, Yisrael can watch what's going on. But b'peil mamish, he cannot do it in the Heichal. You have a pasuk. He asked and he answered. Rabbi Yimi answered. He could have me. Amalei Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Yimi about the Khalifa. Azra, I will answer you like this. The comments Misham is just coming to tell you that the Kmitza could be done anywhere in the Azara. Why? Why would I think otherwise? I would say just like the Eilah, which is kachi kachi, mincha is also kachi kachi. Where is the Eilah sacrifice? Geschachten, dafkin the tzafin. The Kmitza is shpikkel. It mirrors off the shchita. Remember, we said the Kmitza corresponds to the shchita, and then the Kabbalah is they both have Kabbalah, either the Kabbalah of the Kmitza B'Kli Shares and the Kabbalah Sadam, and then there's the Hilacha, and the Zrika is like the Haktara burning the Mincha. But B'Peil Mamish, so it's compared the Shechita to the Kmitza. So just like the Shechita by Eilah is B'Tzafin, so to a Mincha, because they're both Kachin. So if you would have learned out from the Eilah that it would have had to be done from Tzafin, and that's why you need the Kamitz Misham to tell you no. But Mala Eilah Shekin Kala, I would never learn out from the Eilah. Eilah, the whole thing is burned. But by Mincha, the Shiadad, if he does the Kmitza, the leftovers go to the Kahanim. Says, you're right. Leave go. We're not going to learn out from the Chatas. We would learn out from Chatas. And just like Chatas, Skotche Kotchim, that's not Gedom B'Tzafin, I would have thought the same thing is by a Mincha, the Kmitza has to be in the Tzafin. Says, you wouldn't learn out from Chatas. Malachatas, Shein Chaperes, Achal Yobi Krisus. Chatas is more Chama. Sie can noch Mechaper sein. You can even forgive for somebody who's Chayiv Krisus. Versus a Mincha cannot. So you're right. No Osham. We'll learn out from Osham. Would have been just like Osham, it's Geshachten with Dafka B'Tzafin, I would have said. And so too, the Kmitz has to be done B'Tzafin. And Osham, Sai Osham, part of it, only the Chelev, the Imurim Chelev is on the Mizbeach, the rest is not. And also it's not able to be Mechapan Chayobi Krisus. So it's Gemara Bal Osham, Shkem Min Edamin. Osham is more Chama because it has blood involved. It's from a carbon, behema, versus Minchas, the Shtokim blood. And Mikulanami, from all three together, you're not going to be able to learn out. Because all of them have the same Chumrah, Shekem Min Edamin, they all have blood. Says Gemara Itzich. So why do I need the pasuk? I would never think otherwise that the Kmitza could that the Kmitza has to be in Safin. I need it. I would have thought to say it says what does the Kohen do with the Kmitza? He does Hagosha. He brings it to the Mizbeach. So by the Mizrach is the Reines. So I would have thought the Kmitza has to be there right after the Hagosha. He has to do the Kmitza in the same place. So I would have said, look, I would have said, hey, it has to be in the same place of the Hagosha. Just like where he brought it to before the Kmitza, it has to be by the Kelendonis Maravis by the Mizbeach. I would have said the Kmitza has to be there too. Kamash wanted from this possible comes Misham, it doesn't. Gufa, Shlamim that was slaughtered in the Heichel instead of in the Azara. Sheda, it's kosher. He should shech it towards the opening of the Oyel Med. He says, hey, if you have to shech it when the door is open facing the Heichel, so in the Heichel, if you shech it, sure it's good. Meisveit, fragt nicht mal Akasha, wie Judah say to him, nein, she me, keep Eidig comes Azara, how do we know that if the Goyim surrounded the Beis HaMikdash and the whole Azara, that they could go ahead and eat inside the Heichel? because it was a sakana, the arrows they were shooting, it was a B'shas Milchama. So in the Hazara it was all open, they can get killed. So they were allowed to go inside the Heichal to eat. So how do we know that? Talmud Lema comes the pasuk. It says the words "B'kodesh Hakadosh Techleno." The words "Kodesh Kadosh B'kodesh Kadosh Techleno" is extra because it already says in the pasuk that you can eat it in the Yom Me'ed. I'm just gonna find it. If I can find it, it's good. But it says "B'feidish B'chatzar Yom Me'ed Yechlu," so it didn't have to say "B'kodesh Kadosh Techleno." Why do I need a pasuk to teach us that they're allowed to eat it in the Eichel? Lema say b'chatzar Yom Me'ed Yechlu. It's in the pasuk. It says you're allowed to eat it in the chatzar. Say the same as Svara. If you're allowed to eat it b'chatzar, facing the Yom Me'ed, for sure in the Yom Me'ed. You're saying you have to eat it facing when the door is open to the Yom Me'ed. Because that's the tafel. Well, where should you eat it? Should you eat in the right place? Azara is like only facing. Here you can come inside the Heichel. I says, you want to avoid the Adam Makam Rabbi. That's avoid is different. Avoid a person can do is avoid in front of it in front of his master. Yeah, there you'll say this water. When it comes to eating, a person shouldn't be eating in front of his teacher. Like they separated the malamda that we used to eat on another table and the children on another table. We didn't sit with the students. Time in the kasev krah. That's only because it says a pasuk. Halay kasev krah. If it wouldn't say a pasuk, I would not say this svara of tafel is chamin because I would say you're not allowed to eat in front of your rabbi. That's why the comes Misham comes to tell us, no, you can eat it over there. Okay.